Hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. It is Thursday, the 5th of November, 2020. I hope you're having a great week so far. I'm having a good week so far, waiting to see how things are going. I don't have the cooties. Unfortunately, 100,000 plus other people reported yesterday, the day after the election, after the Trump's legacy, 100,000 people reported that they have gotten the cooties. Thank you, Donald Trump. What percentage of that dies? Is that like 5,000 to 7,000 people going on the numbers? Death in his wake. My co-hosts Andy Hall from the Laughing in Disbelief blog and The Rage, Nokasuchi from the Rage channel here on YouTube will be joining me in just a second. And we're going to talk about this stuff as well as the election. We're still talking about the election. Don't get me wrong, we're not done with that, but other stuffs too. Right back. Do you love Jesus? Do you love America? Do you love yelling at strangers? If you answered yes, then there is a new version of the good book for you. The All Caps Bible. The All Caps Bible has everything from the sacred text you would expect. God creates the world in 6 days. Noah saves bunnies from the great flood. Jesus preaches God's message in the Sermon on the Mount. However, the All Caps Bible levels up the message by putting everything in all caps. That's right, you don't have to go to church to hear God's message yelled at you. This Bible will yell at you while you're reading it. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Christians love the All Caps Bible. Here are a few reviews. Mason in Dallas, Texas says, I don't feel guilty anymore yelling at the Starbucks barista. Karen in Oklahoma says, Jesus' message of forgiveness is better when you yell it. And Tommy in South Bend says, who knew the little drummer boy was such a jerk? Buy the All Caps Bible right now and get a loudspeaker so you too can spread the good news. You get everything for a low cost of $89.99. All right, that is one of my favoriteest commercials in the entire universe. Go Speed Racer. My buttons are slowing this morning. Hello. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Andy. How you doing, buddy? You ready for the day?
I think I'm doing okay. I took a 3-hour nap yesterday after doing our marathon live stream and then doing our daily show. And then my body decided that it gave up. My body just gave up. And I literally woke up 2 minutes before I was supposed to go on the Free Thought Profit show.
Really?
So I had to pull myself all together and get into my chair, turn on everything, and talk with Seamus and John Hamill. But we had a fun time.
Good. That's why hats, right? Hats are just, I used to wear hats all the time. Hey, Nokasuchi, good morning, man. How you doing?
I am slowly waking up. It's a slow morning. A couple days of losing some sleep is not helping me be chipper this morning, so I'm getting there.
Yeah, it's been kind of busy for both of us. I was the same way as Andy yesterday. I took me a hardcore nap. Yeah. We were up late for us, especially for us, and then I had to get up at the normal time. I couldn't, of course, I get up 3 hours before the show. I could have slept in, but I still had to make the show and do stuff. Anyway, I didn't get enough sleep, and then after we were done, it's 10 o'clock yesterday my time. And I was off in the nappy time. A good, tasty, delicious nap, though. It was good,
Yeah, I think I'm going to have one of those before work today, definitely.
Absolutely. I want to, before we get too far along, say hello to everybody in the chat. The Damnation, good morning. Man, we're talking to a lot of folk this morning. Critical Cripple, good morning. AA, great question up there we've got on the screen. Norfolk, Ascenti, I hope I said that right. Epic trolling of Trump supporters today. So much fun, childish but fun. Yes, it is. We have our those guilty pleasures. Good morning to Ian Davenport, the Lone Wanderers Bunker, Junk Shop Library. Good morning. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you to everybody watching on Andy's channel, Nokasuchi's channel, Facebook, listening on the Daily Atheist podcast live, and people are now able to watch on Trump Family TrumpFamilyTreason.com. The TrumpFamilyTreason.com. We're streaming to that website as well. We're also going to be streaming to the Daily Atheist Morning Show.net in about a week or so once I get that website up. But, website sucks. So, good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing good. Staying cootie free. I hope you're not one of those numbers we're talking about over here this morning. And of course, the election. We're also going to talk the election. So I'll let you guys figure out where we want to go with this.
I'm just going to say in Massachusetts, the daily newly reported confirmed cases, I believe this is for yesterday, was 1,629. I don't even know when the last time we had numbers like that. It was probably in May, maybe April. So that's crazy. We have 502 confirmed COVID patients in hospitals. Newly reported deaths among the confirmed 27. So the virus is raging. Like I have said before, my girlfriend and I are in lockdown. We have locked down ourselves. We have cut out any of our social interactions with friends and family members until the other side of this, for all intents and purposes. So that's what's going on over here.
Gotcha. And you, Rage? As far as what's going on in your world as far as the COVID, as far as the cooties are concerned?
I'm not sure.
Magically.
Yeah,
I
haven't seen numbers about Michigan. I'm sure we have spiked. I know we did have some quite long lines in the mornings and in the evening of election day, but I haven't seen the numbers. But yeah, me, I was I had the immunes for a bit, so I didn't have to worry about it. But I'm sure that we are seeing a spike, and I'm sure we're going to see that huge spike escalate over the next several days, if not weeks.
Right.
So when I'm going to completely pivot because I want to give this a tee up to Mr. Rage over there.
Okay.
Mr. Rage, the last time that we met here, I don't believe Michigan was officially blue, was it?
I don't think it was official.
So you should do a little victory lap. You should do some kind of joyous pigeons being released.
I have been a little bit. I had a little fun with Messenger last night, although he wouldn't go all the way to where he was telling me that Michigan was going to go Trump. He was moving those goalposts a little bit. But yeah, I did take a bit of a victory lap. And despite my little moment of nervousness, I stayed strong all night. And I never really had a doubt that Michigan would go blue. Because even though we didn't have the grassroots that I've talked about, there does seem to be this sentiment. The division here has seemed to kind of work in favor of the non-Trump. I think we picked up more members to where they have lost. So I had a good feeling that it was going to turn the tide. So,
well, once again, you're bright, and this is weird coming from me talking about you. Your bright, shining light of positivity regarding Michigan has helped me out, and helped keep my brain from getting the sads.
I appreciate it. Well, I had an advantage. I've been in the Democratic Party here in Michigan for 20 years, so I know all the peoples, and I could call them and see what they were saying on a state level, and the confidence that they had. It was easy for me to be confident because they were confident.
Excellent. And Wisconsin is blue too, officially, as I see. And so we are 264 electoral votes.
Yeah, we just need Pennsylvania, and that blue wall is back. That blue wall is back.
Yeah, I wonder. Do y'all know how close we're getting on Pennsylvania? I haven't been keeping up. I've been doing other stuff.
We're like within 150,000 votes now. It's tightening up, and we should be getting an updated count here soon from Pennsylvania, very soon, maybe even during this hour. So yeah, we should.
That would be pretty awesome if it was within this hour.
Yeah,
that would. Oh man, talk about show fodder right there.
It would be show fodder.
I want to say hello to. I'm not going to try to say that. I'm just not going to do it. All right, so I'm going to do it. Vaghela Yash 1717. There you go. Good morning, listening on our podcast. And MB, we got people listening on our podcast. They got funny names. I can't say them. I'm sorry. Good morning to you folks. Thank you for joining us. We've got. Hey, thank you for the subscriber. All right, so I'm eager. I'm ready. I even have a and this is probably, I should probably not admit this. I even have a Biden has won, like this little GIF up here on the image up on the screen you see over on the other side of Andy. I even have one of those ready for the show that once they announce Biden has won, I've got that ready for the show. And then in my mind, I'm formulating a plan for the next one, the day after that. We know there's going to be Biden won, and then the day after that, it's going to be some kind of Civil War motif, I think, is where we're going to be going with our thumbnails. Just kind of throwing that out there. So, good morning, Techno APOC. Thank you for joining us.
The girlfriend in my chat says Michigan released some more numbers this morning, and it is better for Biden than it was before. So, Michigan doing blue proud there.
Yeah, I think we ended up taking it by several thousand votes. Over or almost 50,000 votes right now. Yeah. So, and that's the nature of this election, and it's the nature of the Republican strategy in all of these states, including Michigan, but especially Pennsylvania, and we're seeing it in Nevada right now. Republicans had strategies to not allow the early vote to be counted early. They stopped that from happening. They literally went to court, stopped it from happening, so they could have this moment right now and say, why aren't you done with the count? We need to stop the count, because they understood that these votes coming in late were going to be for Biden. So
true. Yeah,
I just want to
give. Go ahead, Andy.
Pivoting just doing a quick tangent. Someone mentioned in the chat that today is November the 5th, and what I have to say about that is remember the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason, and plot. All of our friends over there in Britain celebrating Guy Fawkes Day, the day of burning, I guess, burning the guys. And the gunpowder plot, of course. So shout out to the Brits.
That is an interesting. There's an interesting thing there with Guy Fawkes. Good morning, Norfolk.
Are we gonna get into an argument over Guy Fawkes?
No, it's just that he was actually, as my understanding. It's been a day since I've looked through it, but a moon or two. But my understanding, he was technically a bad guy.
Well, it all matters. We can get into this argument, but I want to let you know right now that I'm a Protestant atheist. I'm not a Catholic atheist. So you can tell where I am on this divide of Guy Fawkes Day.
So which God do you not believe in?
Exactly.
The Catholic God or the Protestant God?
I don't believe in all gods, but I'm really angry about it.
Hot coffee and nose. Okay, so yeah. But my understanding is Guy Fawkes was a bad guy. Not a good guy, bad guy, but he was really a bad. But now we have these people who glorify him for the opposite reason of what he actually did.
Well, Guy Fawkes would have made England back into a papal state, basically, or at least some kind of client state of the church for all intents and purposes. But arguing about this is like arguing who the bad guys were in Germany versus the USSR in World War II. Right. You have two black hats basically slugging it out.
I have no idea who it is.
There you go, brother. It's Guy Fawkes Day. He tried to blow up Parliament, basically. He was a Catholic radical who tried to blow up Parliament. And just like Eddie, he was like the Wolverine Watchman. Let me bring it back. He was like the Wolverine Watchman, just didn't plan out his crap right. He loaded up his PT Cruiser with gunpowder, drove it under the Parliament building, and it's like, who would have guessed? Who would have guessed that the plan wouldn't have worked out well? That's
and they caught him. They caught him and they set him on fire.
You mentioned Christian terrorism. I'm like, it's Tuesday.
This was, I think, it's been a day or three. This is in response to King Henry V separating from the Catholic Church.
Elizabeth I.
I'm sorry. Yeah, somebody was. Yeah, they were trying to do something. So it was trying to get England back under the rule of the Church.
Yeah.
England had set itself up as an independent kingdom, fiefdom, if you will. And so this guy's not a hero, really. But yet people who are fighting our government wear that mask, the oppression of our government, wear that mask as if that represents somebody fighting for the good of the people. But really, Christian oppression of England was not good. That would have been a step backwards.
You might be surprised that Hollywood does get some historical facts incorrect, just for the sake of selling movies.
Yeah, I haven't seen any movies about it. I haven't seen
V
or none of that.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I know who the character is. I've seen the memes. I need to watch it. It's probably a great flick. I like the guy. You know, he's gonna sit there with his Guy Fawkes mask on and say, "Hello, Neo." I'm looking for.
So that mask is of Guy Fawkes.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. That is a Guy Fawkes mask. Actually, that's
Never knew that.
Yeah, well, see,
so
bam!
that's
We
what
just
we're saying.
learned stuff.
Yeah, I learned stuff.
We edified him. Yeah. So whenever you see people wearing that mask and they're going against the government, well, that's what he did. He went against the government that was trying to free itself from religious oppression or religious control.
You know, you're going from one religious type of oppression to another type. Well, once again, we're getting into the
truth.
weeds. We're getting
No,
into
you're
the
right. You're right. You're right.
Getting
I
into
get
the
you.
weeds.
I get you. We're talking about his intent.
Yeah.
You know, his intent. He was not a good guy. He was not the good guy these people think he was when they put his mask on their face. I'm just saying.
Well, a lot of people don't
Maybe.
get when you're watching 300, right? A lot of people don't understand the joke when the Spartans are accusing the Athenians of being boy lovers, and I'm like, this is so not only homophobic, but historically wrong too. And the fact that the Spartans were basically slavers, the only reason why the Spartans could actually have a professional army in the ancient world is because they had slaves to do the work while the men went out to kill things. You know, that was it. It was a slave state. But that's a whole nother, I get into these arguments a couple of drinks in about Guy Fawkes Day, about 300, about how much I hate the full Monty, I hate Greece. This is all just a litany of Andy's beefs against art.
Right. Yeah. So, now, real quick, we'll touch on. Well, while you guys touch on this, I'm gonna scan the news real quick about the what's going on in the elections. But what about is it 100 or 230 now? Have we passed 230,000 deaths under Trump's watch?
Well, like I said, I heard that might be the official number, but from what I understand from the real numbers, in other words, the non-politically motivated numbers, we are far closer to 300,000 deaths in this country.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do a quick read here from the 538 live blog. From 8:34 this morning, Philadelphia City Commissioners will give an update on the mail-in ballot around 9 a.m. I don't know if that's
just
happening
about the end of the show, huh?
Georgia is still counting votes, and Trump's lead there has narrowed to less than 20,000. We're hopeful to get more votes there throughout the morning, but, who knows? Nevada is expected to announce more results beginning at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And finally, Arizona, too, is still counting votes, and Trump is cutting into Biden's lead there. We expect, I've got a Maricopa County to report more votes at 9 p.m. Eastern. 9 p.m. Eastern, that seems late. And more from Pima County results this evening. The upshot of this is that today is going to be a big day, just like yesterday was a big day with Wisconsin going blue and Michigan going blue.
Yeah, surprise. And then we got to give Nokasuchi the credit. He called it. He called it the night before. He was like, "Beat this, my homies." And I'm like, "Oh no, the world is collapsing. We're all gonna die," And he's like, "No."
Well, now it's the Trumpers that are doing that, and I've been feasting on it this morning. I saw a Facebook post from one of my cousins, and he's like, "Man, I love Trump and Biden is so evil," and I'm just like sitting there and I'm like thinking the 230,000 number, Biden's evil, huh?
I have to tell you something. I think the Democrats, we could talk about what the Democrats should have, could have, would have done. But one of my concerns, once again, was this image of Joe Biden as the empathic guy, more than Joe Biden as being the strong guy who can be empathic.
Right.
And that's a nuanced. That is a Jesus Christ. If I had a bingo card for me, then I'd be knocking off the nuanced point here that I always like to talk about. But seriously, though, Biden should have been more strong because Americans don't vote for empathic. Americans vote for strength in the face of adversity, and I don't think really Joe sold that point enough. I don't think the Democrats also sold the point that masks are patriotic and that there should have been just clear ads from the DNC about masks. And you can just do a simple 30-second ad with a nurse, a person taking care of an ill family member, and just some everyday guy working on the job saying masks are patriotic, masks save lives, and then you top it all off with Joe Biden says I believe in the science, where vote for me. So in other words, if this election was not only voting about how Donald Trump did in general, it was also about the lockdown itself. And so a lot of people are being hurt by the lockdown, and so they see Democrats as the cause of the lockdown. And if they did these kind of preemptive ads talking about waving the flag and saying and promoting mask wearing as patriotic, I think they would have done better in the election, to tell you the truth.
Well, I definitely think that Trump did well with selling the whole libertarian argument that masks and this whole and the lockdowns were unconstitutional, went against your rights as an American, and I think that appealed to a lot of on the fence voters.
Right.
They don't want to be locked. People don't understand the slaves that they are. They feel like they need that job, that they need to show up every day to be the slave that they are, and they don't understand that that's what they're doing, is being that slave. So it's been a really hard struggle trying to convince people, no, Whitmer's not trying to take away your liberty, she's trying to save your life. They can't understand it because Trump and his team, Republicans, are really good at selling those narratives even when they're false.
And here's the thing, too. I think that this is a Democratic problem, is that they do not counterpunch. I mean, you can say a lot of things about Bill Clinton, but the man knew how to punch back.
Yeah.
And I think this is really a point of weakness for the DNC, for the culture of the DNC. We've talked about this a bunch of times about, culturally speaking, what's wrong with Democrats. And one of them is that they really should have been more aggressive about promoting the mask as a symbol for lockdowns. They wouldn't even have to mention the lockdowns, but the idea that wearing a mask is patriotic, wearing the mask is a shared sacrifice. The freaking message of Churchill talking to the people and the London people during the times of the Blitz. These are shared sacrifices. This is what we're doing to defeat this thing. We are all in this together. And there wasn't, I don't remember seeing any real messaging about that connecting masks, patriotism, and Joe Biden. And I think that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I think they missed a lot of opportunities to really reach a lot of different demographics. They definitely missed opportunities reaching out to the far left. I think that's probably one of the main reasons you did not see the blue wave everybody expected. I think a lot of Democrats, especially lefties, who run in these Democratic circles, they did the same thing as the shy Trumper. They said that they were going to vote for Biden so they could avoid the arguments that were going to come when they weren't going to vote for Joe Biden. So I think that that's one of the reasons the polls were off. One of the reasons we didn't get our blue wave. One of the reasons we're probably not going to get the Senate is because they didn't really appeal to the left. But at the same time as they didn't appeal to the left, they spent too much time, in my opinion, trying to appeal to those moderate Republicans, trying to pull them into the fold, when honestly, your base is the left, whether you like it or not. And you should have been maybe putting a little more attention to what they were asking of you instead of ignoring them.
Yep. Yeah. I think that the Democrats got themselves once again into this blue wall strategy part 2. And they thought that even though they did better than in 2016, better doesn't always mean you win the game. Yeah, and there was this, and I was thinking about this the other day too, and I mentioned this during the debates, the vice presidential debates as well as the presidential debates, about how they were, and they meaning Biden and Harris, could afford to play conservative, at least during the debate, because they were quote unquote in the lead. And I think while that was true for the debates, I think when you're actually running a campaign, you should automatically be assuming that you are losing.
Yeah.
because that increases competition. Like and I'm going to bring it to the Patriots for a minute here. When the Patriots were winning, right? When they were in the halcyon days of Brady and Gronk, I could imagine the guys coming in during halftime and coach telling them, we're up by 20. I don't know why we're not up by 30. I don't know what you guys are thinking about, but go back out there and run up the score. No point do I ever think the Democrats are talking about we need to run up the score as much as we can, and we got to be hard about it, and we got to be working hard on it. I don't get that perception from the culture of the DNC.
I still don't get after 2016 how we're not going out into these rural areas and trying to spread our message to them. A lot of these people in these rural areas are poor. They live in their trailer parks, or they can't put food on their table, and they just haven't had a chance to have true messaging from us. They're surrounded and bubbled by the right and the conservatives. We need to get out into these areas. We can make huge grounds in the rural areas if we're speaking to the poor people out there and actually showing them how we're for them. Yeah. But we don't do that. And it's because the DNC isn't for them. They're for corporations, and that's the dynamic we really have to change. And that's what's good. That's why they're so weak in this national election. That's why they're going to be hamstrung now, because the Senate is going to be a Mitch McConnell Senate that's going to obstruct everything.
Yep. I was thinking about this the other day, that the DNC should have at least a 5-year plan with certain goals. They should have someone come in, like third parties come in and audit what they've done so far, as well as create plans about how to win hearts and minds in places like Pennsylvania, and to make sure that Michigan stays blue, Minnesota stays blue, and Wisconsin stays blue. There should be a plan.
We're so close to pulling some of these. I mean, North Carolina is almost purple, if not officially purple now. Georgia almost purple, if not officially purple now. We're making grounds. It's just, I thought after 2016 maybe the DNC would learn their lesson, and they're lining their pockets, and that's all they seem to really care about.
Well, there's just so much human stupidity in humanity. It's like there will be plans. There've been many examples of people knowing the plan isn't going to work during World War II. And I'm going to say this again. Admiral Yamamoto, who went here to Harvard, who was in charge of the Navy. He told the high command, he told the government of Japan, listen, you cannot win a war with the United States of America. The government of Japan told him, go figure out how to defeat the United States of America. In Pearl Harbor, right? Yeah. The guy, the German officer, Paulus, was told, hey, you should make out a plan about how we should defeat the USSR. He comes back with, guess what, guys? We can't defeat the USSR. And so they tell him, go attack the USSR. Long story short, he gets stuck in Stalingrad and gets his army is destroyed, and he gets captured by the Russians. So there are just so many times that there is good data coming into these organizations, to any organization, and people just go, we're not going to listen to it. Yeah. And we're not going to listen to it.
Yeah, and it is a bit unfortunate. But it does seem like we're going to come out on top. Now it's crazier things have happened, so we'll have that wait and see mentality. But if the roles were reversed and it looked like Trump was the winner right now, I don't think that the right would be doing as the left seems to be doing in that patiently let's wait and see mode. We're not going to declare victory yet. The right would be all over it. Told you, you libtards.
Well, I have real quick. I have a thing, and let me ask, because I'm not sure. My political education is lacking. Right now, this says the Senate control is 47-47. If it stays and we're tied in the Senate, doesn't the vice president get any? Doesn't the vice president get the last word on any?
And right now,
we actually could.
That's best case scenario right now is a tie in the Senate. We're not going to get the Senate, but we can still get that tie. And if we have that tie, but you do have the Joe Manchins of the world that's going to make that tie really, really difficult for us.
That's okay. We can do it.
Any time that we don't have a supermajority in the Senate, we should consider this to be we got to go back out there and treat it like we're losing.
Just like, yeah.
In the event of a tie, who is the majority leader? I'm not sure.
It's like
Well, the president,
evens odds.
the president's
The vice
office.
president.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what I think. I could be wrong. I keep
I
showing
will.
my website here.
I want to answer a funny question. So the DNC should take lessons from Bill Belichick. Yes, they should. They should get someone who's serious
or
about
maybe they should take
people.
lessons from Tom Brady because I think maybe it was Tom Brady.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was.
Hey, Andy, I responded to that by saying the DNC is doing a great job of losing without following Bill Belichick's example. So, yeah. I figured you might be a little sensitive about that because you're a Patriots fan, aren't you?
It's sad. Well, I think it's actually illegal not to be a Patriots fan here in Massachusetts.
Is that what it is?
Say that. Yeah.
A lot of Patriots fans, even in Massachusetts, are Buccaneers fans this year. So,
I was wondering because some of the
just wait for the purge. Just wait for the purge.
Right. So I've heard some scuttlebutt. Do you think? Does anybody think? I know this is way out there, right? This is way out. Does anybody really think Trump will run away? Will run away? Will take a plane and run away to another country?
I think if he's out of the office, he will. I still don't think he's going to leave the office.
So you think he'll do that? All right, good point. So if he's declared, do you think he'll do that like before January, before they turn it over to him, January 20th? Or on January 20th, he's out. How do you think that would work?
I think January 19th, he's going to end up in somewhere without extradition, and he's gonna do the whole COVID Zoom meeting and be like, you know what, America, fuck y'all. Sorry, it's early. It's early. Sorry.
It's interesting because as we all know, there are conversations people in power have that we are not privy to, right? Like we didn't know that. During those days of Watergate, there was this implicit understanding that if Nixon was going to ask for the nuclear football, that people would be called, and maybe Nixon wouldn't have pure access to the nuclear, code, so to speak. So what I'm saying is that there probably are some conversations about, gosh, what if the president decides to run off to North Korea? Or what if the president decides to go to Russia? What do we do in those situations? What do we do? We, as in people with guns, people who are in charge of the national security of the United States of America. Because there are things that Trump could be doing right here and right now that he's not doing, like crazy things that he could be doing. Right. And you have to ask yourself, why is he showing restraint? And this is restraint for Donald Trump that we're seeing right now.
I think so too. So you're saying, do we send a Jason Bourne after him?
I don't know.
Is that what you're saying? Like I'm kind of sideways trying to say, but not say. Just wink. If that's what you're saying.
The CIA does shady poo stuff and has done shady poo stuff for decades.
Well, this is different. This is more open.
The Southern District should have their peoples, aware of the movements. I think, especially once we're getting closer to the transition. Maybe you want to keep an eye on this dude. Yeah. Southern District. I'm just saying.
Don't let him leave the country. Not take his passport.
Yeah, maybe take his passport.
Take his passport. Yeah.
It'd be hard to do with an ex-president. I get that, but
what's funny? During the Catholic Church crisis here in Massachusetts, Cardinal Law, the one who oversaw all the kid effing here, he was basically whisked out of the state and brought over to Vatican City. Very hush-hush. And so these are the things yes. So these things do happen. People do flee the country when they're about to get themselves into hip-deep trouble.
And I really hope that the adults in the room of this administration that we kept hearing about, and we know that they've pretty much all been replaced, but hopefully there's still a few adults in the room. And once they start shredding the documents, that shit gets exposed. Yeah. I'm really hoping that.
I have a question here. In the previous government, with Obama, if the citizens did this certain kind of petition, they had a website set up and you could do a petition, they would have to be addressed this certain issue if you reached a certain number of signers on the petition. I don't remember what it was. Of course, now Trump obviously doesn't care about any of that. If Biden were to come in and they reset up that website and they did a 100,000 signature petition, what I'm trying to get to is I think petitions should be set up to investigate McConnell, to investigate Lindsey Graham. We should set up a citizens petition and try to get 1 million signatures of people saying we need to investigate Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell and remove them from office if they've done bad things. Remove, just not just them, but other people. That's what I'm talking about. Would the Biden administration listen?
Well, I'm hoping maybe we can have another investigation, and at least maybe the Biden administration won't be putting the yokes on the Justice Department, and we can have a real probe into the Russian activity. I think Mueller probably did the best he could, but also a Republican dude that would not go against the grain in the Justice Department. So maybe if we have an administration and a Justice Department that is separate from the administration, then we can actually have a real investigation now that's not going to be kind of choked by the leader of the country telling them not to do it. So at least maybe we'll get that.
And just to bounce off that, Chris, you made the citizens. You used the word citizens. And if this election, if Black Lives Matter, the Catholic child abuse scandal, Wall Street crisis if we've learned anything, it is a clarion call. It is a call of duty for everyday citizens to establish some kind of oversight on the apparatus of this country.
Yes, guillotines. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
You're supposed to say the implicit
inner voice
things in your head.
Inner voice. Sorry.
But there does need to be citizen-run institutions to keep an eye on the watch, on those people. I'm not going to go into this Wolverine thing, but there needs to be citizen groups, non-government groups who watch what goes on and keeps us all informed, because we cannot trust them. We cannot trust them to do what's right or to work in our own interests. That's clear. Whether it's the DNC, the Republicans, we cannot trust them to do what is in our interests.
But to add on to what you're saying, not only that, that's one of the after effects of what we need to do when this is over. One of the things we need to do is bring all these corrupt bastards to justice. If we can prove Donald Trump did what he did, he sold out the United States, his adult children, they should all be investigated. If convicted, all of their property should be sold off. And everything they have, they should be rendered financially destitute and spend the rest of their lives in prison. And that money should go to the infrastructure of the United States and to the people of the United States, because they betrayed us and milked our country. They should not get away with this.
As far as I understand it, and you're right, they shouldn't. As far as I understand it, Trump will. As president, he is immune to anything he does as president. But that's for Trump. That's not for the people beneath him. And Ivanka, Jared, they're part of this administration. We know that there's illegalities there. They do not have this immunity. We can make him pay, even though he's pretty much untouchable for the actions he did as president.
He's not really. If we can go back and do a proper investigation and prove that he was an illegitimately elected president.
He has immunity. Well, in that case, like what he did before president, before taking the oath of office, he would be accountable for it. But the moment he took the oath of office, he does have immunity.
Yeah.
See, that's the whole deal. We're right there. That's exactly the point. By not punishing him for that, by giving him that, then we're telling everybody, every crook in the future, that if you can get to that point, we need to do that. We need to go, no, that's not good. Just because he was president, he is no longer immune. We can investigate. We do that investigation and prove that it was an illegitimate Russian operation that put him in. Now, if we can't do that, then he gets to stay president. But if we can do that, then his presidency is illegitimatized. All his protections are gone.
It would take a president willing to make a precedent and to work with the Senate and the House to change that within the Constitution.
We have the House. We have a tie in the Senate, plus the Vice President to break that tie.
To change the Constitution,
you have to have the will.
Supermajority. It's almost impossible to change the Constitution. But what I'm saying is this: even if we can't prosecute him for what he did as president on a federal level, he can be prosecuted for what he did on a state level, and that's why I keep referring to the Southern District of New York, because they're coming after this dude, and they've got the goods on him. It's not for what he did as president.
That's good
enough. But he'll face consequences. Yeah. And even though he is immune, it doesn't mean that Joe Biden cannot come in and be fully transparent. Show us everything that happened with Ukraine. Show us everything that happened with the Russians. Show us the senators that the FBI and the CIA think is working with Russia now. Yes. Share all of that information, and once you put it into the public atmosphere, the court of public opinion is far harsher than the media ever could be. But you have to get that information out.
I just want to elevate this conversation a bit, and what we don't want to have is Revenge of the Sith, Mace Windu, Emperor. Mace Windu is about to execute the Emperor, saying that he controls the courts, he controls the Senate, and then he's about to do the death blow, and then Anakin cuts his arms off. We do not want to get to that point. And if we don't do structural reform of the system, we're going to have the same conversation in maybe 10 years or less than 10 years. And it'll be too late because the whole system would be trashed.
We need to start appointing judges. We need to start, again, if anything we could undo by proving Trump's illegitimacy as president, if we could prove that and then undo any of those judge seatings, undo Kavanaugh, undo any of that stuff, I think that would be worth it. Women looking for abortions or wanting to control their own body in 5 years will be really wishing we had done that, because these people are going to be stuck there. Oh, because if a foreign body helps and he knows it, a president take office as like a Manchurian candidate, why should any policy he put in place or any judge he put in place be allowed to stay in office? That's just stupid. Why?
Well, I mean,
that's stupid.
Luckily, most of Trump's policy was done through executive order, which is the easiest thing to change. So, we're going to be able to change most of his policy right off the gate, and it's not going to take Senate to do it. It's going to be Joe Biden just stroke of the pen, getting rid of most of the damage Trump did. Now, there's still a lot of damage that Senate did, but that'll take longer time. But we can undo a lot of the damage that Trump did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We should. Yeah. Well, see, we can. You're employing the word can. Will they? And that's where the petition comes in.
The can is the big word there. The DNC has no backbone.
Right. So the deal is, if they're not doing it, we should find out if they're not doing it and be ambitious and bold. And if they're not doing it, we should be doing those things. Start a petition for each one of those things. But if Biden gets into office, we get a tie with the Senate. We need to start a huge petition going, investigate Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham.
Yeah. And I want to put it out there. I am totally against a president being immune to anything. I think that presidents should be accountable. I think had Obama been accountable, maybe he wouldn't have killed so many with his drone strikes. Maybe he wouldn't have been the deporter in chief. If presidents are accountable for their actions, they might be better presidents. So, I think that we really should look at it.
The core problem is that the president has imperial powers when engaging with foreign bodies. Alexis de Tocqueville mentioned this in Democracy in America. He wrote this back in the 18th century, very early in the 19th century, that the president actually has, in terms of the Constitution, the president has very weak powers. It isn't until he interacts with foreign powers that, oh, my fictitious God, to paraphrase Alexis de Tocqueville, do you guys know what you're doing with this? And that's the core problem, is how much power he has. The last time. Okay, so here's an obvious question that we should all know. When was the last time the U.S. declared war?
War? I would believe Iraq, isn't it?
Incorrect answer. Chris, when was the last time the U.S. declared war?
I have no idea.
World War II. The last time we declared war, right? Which is, constitutionally speaking, that is when the legislative branch declares war, was World War II. Every other kind of military action has not been. Now, here's the problem, too. The Supreme Court says that we're in a legal state of war, even when the legislative branch does not declare war. That's a problem. That gives the president incredible powers. The War Powers Act was meant to to put some limits on Nixon doing crazy stuff. Congress needs to regain the ability for the country to be involved with and to bomb countries and to assassinate people or do crazy stuff, right? The idea that one man, the commander-in-chief, has this kind of imperial power is madness. That's what it is. It's madness. So these are the reforms, and these are the real core problems. Once again, I want to point out the fact that, and I'm not arguing against your point, Chris, about or Knox's point, that there needs to be some kind of culpability with the president. There most certainly is. However, when the president is going to suffer once he leaves office for the crimes that he's done, this creates an incentive for a president never to leave office. Once again, Julius Caesar, one of the reasons why he marched on Rome and tried to be dictator, or was dictator for a short period of time, was because he knew he was going to be in deep, deep trouble once he left office. We don't want to create incentives for bad people to do even worse things. So that's why, once again, this is a convoluted argument, but the main problem is the power of the presidency, and the president being able to order 185,000 guys to invade Iraq a second time without, well, yeah, sure, there was a vote in Congress, don't get me wrong, getting him to say that he could, but no official declaration of war. And that official declaration of war would be a firewall against the president acting in an imperial way.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think Abraham Lincoln was the first to really overstep his bounds. He did it for really good reasons. He had to, given the situation he was in, and he took those powers. And since then, it's been kind of a battle with the Senate to try to get some of that power back from the president. And I totally agree. I think that the president's not supposed to be king.
He's not supposed to be king, but that's what
our system was set up. And yeah, we have slowly over the ages given this one person more and more and more executive power. Right. And yeah, I think we need to take a lot of that power back. I really do.
Yeah.
Well, we've been thinking, and this is something I've been saying, we've been saying, oh man, the election, the closer we get to the election, the more desperate Trump's going to get, and he's going to do this thing and that thing, and oh my gosh. And a lot of it didn't happen. Some of it happened, but a lot of the worst of our fears didn't happen.
Not yet.
And now we've got another, right. But now we're going into another round of predictions between what happens between now and January 20th. What happens and how desperate does he get if we lose? Go ahead.
And we're starting to see those worst case scenarios pull out. We're starting to see Trump on Twitter dog whistling to his more extreme base. We're seeing his more extreme base gather at these counting stations. We're seeing his lawyers going into these states filing lawsuits to stop the count, which there is no legal mechanism for them to do so. It's actually really, really insane that anybody would be supporting this move at this point in time, but plenty of people are. We're starting to see it, and I do believe that the more real it becomes to Donald Trump that he's not going to be president, the crazier he's going to get. For what Andy was talking about, he's facing that Southern District of New York. Another term would have got him past the statute of limitations on that. Right now, he's not. So I think he's going to get, the more scared and worried he's going to get, the crazier his actions are going to be.
I just want to give us some good news, too. I just want to give us some good news that we have not been talking about. In the state of Virginia, there was a ballot question about whether or not redistricting would be taken out of the hands of politicians and put into a bipartisan redistricting commission. One of the reasons why Congress can't get anything done, why people don't compromise with each other, is because of these gerrymandered districts. And so what Virginia just did, and I'm just going to read you a few sentences from the Washington Post article. Virginia voters have approved a constitutional amendment creating a bipartisan redistricting commission after years of court battles over partisan gerrymandering. The measure divided Democratic Party leaders, some of whom were loath to give up the chance to draw favorable maps for congressional and state legislative districts after years of Republican gerrymandering, but it proved popular with Democratic voters after a $2 million campaign by reform advocates. From the start, this movement has been about putting the voices of citizens above politicians and political parties. The leaders of the pro-amendment group Fair Maps Virginia said in a statement early Wednesday. Today, Virginia voters spoke loud and clear. If we take the power of redistricting away from politicians, we will have a far less toxic Congress. If we have a less toxic Congress, that means there is less power in the presidency. We have a functional system. So yay for the people of Virginia. You did the right thing.
Yeah, Trump's on Twitter right now, all capital letters. stop the count. So like the president of the United States is literally calling for the stoppage of counting the vote in a democracy. And Americans are
Biden's
supporting
ahead
that
right now.
Yeah,
Well, not in those states. Yeah, I guess he thinks he would win. Yeah, never mind.
he would win Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina, which would win him the presidency, I believe. I could be wrong about that.
From politicians. I'm writing that down. That's
Wait, no, because Nevada, if they stop the count now, Nevada goes
would win.
to Biden, Arizona goes to Biden, and that's 270. So Biden would win
Yeah.
it. He's just stupid and doesn't know it. He doesn't understand it.
What he's trying to do is to create as much chaos as possible. This is, he's not he's not a genius. Trump is not a deep thinker. We'll give him that's a kind way.
But if they stop it there and he gets 270, then Trump also gets 270 and he gets the win. If they stop it to where Biden gets 270, then that's 270 for the other guys. That's a tie. That's bad for everybody, right? Isn't that right? I think that's right.
I think if he, I'm thinking I'm going to go with knock on this one. I think that if they stop the vote now, more than likely Biden will win. Of course, if just to go to a broader point, Chris, yes, if there is a tie in the Electoral College, then Trump becomes president.
Yeah, but I think the tie is gone now. So yeah, like with Arizona, he's sitting at 264. If they stop the count now, Nevada being 6 electoral votes, that would be 270. Yeah. That would leave Trump with 268, and Biden would be president. Yeah.
And once again, what Trump is trying to do is to cut the margin of loss. If he is going to lose, Trump wants to keep the margin of loss to a minimum so that he can cheat.
Yeah,
so it's easier for him to cheat.
He can say the Democrats were cheating as he's cheating.
Right, exactly, because that's part of the Trump game plan. Yeah. So once again, Trump wants to end the counting, even if he, quote unquote, officially loses, because he knows that the game isn't over until, when is the game officially over?
So
January 20th.
January 6th is when I believe they certify, and January 20th it's done.
We'll go through the numbers again just because I'm obsessive compulsive.
Please.
December 8th.
Please.
It is mandatory for all the votes within the states to be resolved. December 14th is when the Electoral College votes. January 6th is when Congress certifies the votes from the Electoral College. And January 20th is election day. I'm sorry, it is inauguration day. And so Trump realizes that he has up until, and maybe even further, you don't know what that guy's going to do, January 20th to do double death overtime extended play. So it is a game that he is thinking he can keep going with until January 20th.
So when he loses, does the majority of his supporters actually continue with him, or do they be like, it's time to walk away, Donald?
Most of his supporters, he has a cult, and anyone you talk to, all the guests that we've had coming through here, many of them have said that, hey, he's running a cult, 20% of the population just are sucking at his teat, and so they will just go with him till the end, whatever that end is.
Yeah. We're already seeing it with the crowds at the voting stations, and these people don't know. Important. They don't have sentences longer than 3 words. Like, stop the count, lock her up. Like, they don't have big vocabularies.
We need simple things. We need simple words too.
Yeah.
That's all we have to tell people. Every vote counted. Every vote counted. And I'm not here to stir up any trouble, but it should be happening relatively quickly too, because it's a race. It's a race. And so those votes should be in. It is in the Democratic big D and little d interest to get those votes counted quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And to lock in as much as we can right here and now before violence starts, before militias get activated and cause trouble.
Yeah, I definitely think we need Arizona to be called today. We need Nevada. We need Joe Biden to win today so we can get into the next level. I think it's gonna get more dangerous the longer it takes for us to know who the president is. Right. So I think it needs to happen.
I heard last night was that they were saying there are reports that Trump does have some lawyers. We all know he's got some kind of lawyers, surely, right? Yeah. But apparently, it wasn't until election night that Jared Kushner and then really started getting after the whole lawyer thing. And I think part of the reason may be because they don't have any money, or they don't. Of course, you mentioned before that the Republican Party would pay for some of that, but still, in a lost election, the Republican Party is going to be rats off a sinking ship. What's left of them.
Well, and they're what they're saying is really, really weak right now. So they're saying that basically they're challenging Michigan the count there, and they're challenging the count in Pennsylvania, because even though they're in the room, like every campaign has done before them, they're in the rooms. They are saying they need binoculars, and because they didn't have binoculars, so they could focus in on every single ballot. Well, it's all suspect, needs to be thrown out.
Anyone who's watched any lawyer or legal drama knows that the idea is just to cast, doubt into the minds of people of what's going on. If you cast doubt, that means you can start wiggling around and getting your way. So that's all that that's what the Trump lawyers are going to try to do, is cast doubt on the legitimacy. And that's all the Trump's been doing, is casting doubt on the legitimacy of this election. Yeah,
and people they need to realize it's not going to go anywhere. There is no legal basis for Trump to stop the count. It's the same as election night. He's pandering to his base to get them riled up, but he has no legal ground.
There is no legal ground, but we live in a country where politics and I'm going to say it again, trumps legality. Yeah. We are now in a question of whether or not there is force as against to whether or not it is legal. So that's why people should be calling their representatives and their senators and telling them that they want every vote counted. That's it.
Yeah, and Boomer U is bringing up some, I know we're about done with the hour, but there is good news already. Huge victories for the American people. 15 states and D.C. now have legal weed. We are on the verge of nationalizing this thing.
Yep.
And we're getting closer and closer every election cycle.
Absolutely. Well, do you guys mind? Because we were supposed to hear some news right now, aren't we?
Dude, yeah.
Isn't there something supposed to be going on? I thought maybe we can pop in later if we have. I just thought
it does seem like we did get some more votes in Pennsylvania already. It jumped up. Biden's count jumped up 33,000. It doesn't look like Trump's has jumped up much. So yeah, Biden is continuing to close in on Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's doomsday for Trump. That is doomsday.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. So, all right, guys, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up then. We'll see as the day goes on. I already have my Biden wins thing just in case. And if he doesn't win, then I'll have to make myself another GIF. People, don't make me make that GIF.
I bought a pinata, a Trump head pinata from Amazon the other day. And when it comes in, and if Biden does win, wins, we're going to stomp the crap out of that. Beat the crap out of that Trump head. That's what I'm going to do.
And if he loses, you should probably
I'm still going to beat the crap out of it, too.
Just a thought. Hey, all right, Andy, what do you got going on for the day? You got any other streams this afternoon?
I got nothing planned right now. The last couple of days have been rather busy for Andy. I was on the Free Thought Profit show last night. That was like a 2-hour show, an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm just recuperating. Of course, I'm always blogging at Pathos on the Laughing in Disbelief blog on Pathos. I did a bit today about how to stay sane while the votes are being counted. I threw the links up early in the chat. And I'll probably be blogging some more comedy, because that's what I do. And I'll be doing another comedy short probably today. I already told you guys about it. You didn't laugh, but it's hilarious. I'll be doing another comedy short today. Don't give anything away. But yes,
enjoyed it.
Thank you. So I'll be posting that up on my channel sometime today. My new comedy short.
Gotcha. All right. How about you, Nokasuchi? What do you got going on today?
I'm not sure. More than likely, I'm going to be taking at least the afternoon off. I might end up doing a stream at my normal time, but I have some things to get done. So, and I am expecting maybe at least a victory for Joe Biden, if not the end of the count. So maybe I'll wait till after work and do something. So yeah, I'm not sure yet, but definitely tomorrow we'll be doing something like an open room again or something. So yeah, I'm always got something going on. I just might take the day off today.
Sure. Awesome sauce. Awesome. All right. Well, I'll keep an eye on the news and see what's going on. I want to thank you guys for joining me this morning, and thank everybody in the chat, the damnation. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for joining us on the Daily Atheist Morning Show on whichever channel or Facebook page you're watching on. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and we will see you tomorrow. Y'all take care. Thank you for watching the show. A special shout out to my gold level Patreon supporters, Cindy Plaza and Ian Davenport. Thank you, and have a great day.